Drow Ranger.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the Global Grand Masters Winter Bracket Finals. Game number 2, Alliance versus Empire. First pick, Drow Ranger. Again, a little more of the same here. Empire won game 1 with it, and they're going to try to win game 2 with it. I'm Zyori, joined again by Purge. Purge, how you feeling here, looking at a Drow Broodmother opener?
It's looking pretty good. I mean, Alliance had a lot of trouble against the Drow Ranger in the last game. It countered a lot of their heroes that they picked. Even though it was picked first phase, they still had issues. Instead, what they do is grab Brood in the first phase, and I really like Bulldog's Brood right now. I think it's really effective. I haven't seen it in a few months, but I really like the build that he did, the Echo Saber build. And it's consistently the hero that's most banned against Drow Ranger in the second phase when you pick Drow. So I would love to see this crush for Drow strat, because that is a strat that is very, very strong right now.
Yeah, absolutely. What are the effective heroes against Broodmother right now? Because I've heard a lot of different things. I mean, like Axe and Legion Commander are those top 2 kind of classic heroes that are pretty good at just clearing out spiders. But are there other heroes that are really good against the Brood? And wow, Ogre second pick. That's interesting. Feels like we're watching a Wings draft here.
Yeah, Ogre is on the upswing though. Broodmother counters, if you do 1v1s, yes, things like Axe and Legion are usually a bit better, but if Drow's committed to the safe lane tri-lane, then you need supports that have AoE, because if you can hit AoE onto the spiders, then the spiders aren't able to do maximum DPS. So Shadow Demon can work, which is kind of a nice solution. You have to cast Shadow Poison, then the spiders spread out, and then they can't necessarily do maximum DPS. It's not really a good solution either. In fact, not many supports are good solutions against Brood in the early game, because you don't have enough levels to just nuke the spiders most of the time.
Yeah. And then they'll take Shadow Demon with their second again for Empire. So some comfort picks here, but it did work well. Ramsey's played a great Drow Ranger and Shadow Demon for a variety of reasons. Not a bad choice. You can set up for follow-up stuns if they grab another support like a Kunkka. Also just seeing the disruption set up for the AoE silence from the Drow Ranger. That proved very effective. And then, of course, the illusions that you can make for sieging, split pushing, all that stuff. Good duo here. But talk to me about Ogre a little bit. Why is he finally on the upswing? Were there some like stealth buffs that people haven't been talking about, or is it just adapting to the meta? What's going on?
There's a couple things. There's always the common support buffs, like the item buffs, such as Windlace is very good for Ogre there, very inexpensive. He usually has a lot of item slots, I feel like, because his HP and armor are so high and he has good regen. There's also raindrops, which are amazing for Ogre since he has tons of armor.
Ooh.
If you put a raindrop on top of that, it solves his mana problems that he has, and it also makes him more tanky. So he's basically just ultra tanky and strong with brown boots and windlace and raindrops. That part's great. He also got a buff to ignite, so the mana cost is always 90, whereas before it would scale up to like 125. So he saves mana there, and they also reduce the mana cost of Bloodlust, so it's actually okay to cast it early. In the past, I was always a pretty big Bloodlust hater for the fact that it was 75 mana, and the cooldown was like 20 or 15 seconds before you hit level 11. It was just such a pain in the ass. But now it's better justified to go like minimum 1 ignite, get some Fire Blast, get some Bloodlust, depending on your game. I mean, the max ignite's still probably the best damage skill, but depending on the heroes they have, they might have the best solution against it. So he's just a strong hero right now. And Broodmother's already really fast, so if you put Bloodlust on a hero like that, they become way better.
Yeah, that's a good point. That synergy is pretty dirty. We'll see 3rd and 4th bans come out here. Tidehunter and Axe, 2 heroes that are good against the little spider babies. Of course, the big team fight from the Tidehunter, and we've taken out Empire, ban out some minus armor, of course, wary of the Direside Roche advantage and the Slardar, and taking out a Puck, just a good team fighter, a classic hero for S4 that they don't want to deal with. Good gap closer that can be effective against Drow Ranger. Alliance will pick up the Dazzle with their 3rd, though, so nice mix of these 2 supports. Mix in damage types as well as a range, and you have a big beefy frontliner. Dazzle can zone a little bit, while as the Ogre can, be that frontliner. I like this kind of support duo.
It is really good, actually. It's even an effective dual roam, which is a good threat that Alliance can have, especially when Brood is so independent. He can just pressure his lane solo, and then they can do kind of what they did in the last game, which is pressure the mid, get some kills on him. And it's actually significant, thinking back how well S4 did in the mid lane against Storm, that they still lost that game, but they just did not have the right heroes to match up against Empires that game.
Yeah, it became very apparent in the mid game for sure.
What gone better for them though? I mean, a couple
Oh.
times, Lodo was dying, things like that, but just like that and having a life stealer and then you're behind. They needed to win that one fight by their tier 1 or where Loda died and they didn't. So they had a better early game lineup definitely. And they just didn't win enough fights.
So Empire, they're gonna do pretty much the same thing they did last game. Shadow Demon, Kunkka, Drow Ranger. This was the staple of their strategy, it seemed. And honestly, this could be an okay Storm game again. Alliance have some options here to pick up heroes that could work against him. They do have a stun from the Ogre, but, Broodmother, not one of the best heroes against the Storm Spirit. I guess if he goes to Orchid, it can be okay, but Storm just so mobile, can jump around and kind of run circles.
Point. If I remember correctly, I think that when you use X marks the spot against Storm, that Ball Lightning counters it, like doesn't go through.
Yes.
Might be wrong.
I think you're right. I think he can just go invulnerable and scoot through it.
That's one case where Disruptor is better than Kunkka, for sure. Cyclone still through it. Now for a Dragon Knight instead. So I think I like this better. It's basically like a push lineup. God, they're actually going for the same lineup. The significant part is that Dragon Knight has a stun, so he can counter Storm Spirit in the mid game. Broodmother can also buy an Orchid without really messing up his item build at all, even though in the past Bulldog hasn't always gone for Orchid. And DK is also fairly survivable, really high armor to deal with Drow, so I like the DK. I think it's going to be decent. It's going to be bad against Storm in the laning stage is the big problem, but Ogre can usually roam against that, so might offset things a bit. But it's just significant that Empire's going for the exact same draft, and they've got all the heroes.
Who is the one hero that we're missing here? There's the offlane Nyx, I think, right?
Yep, you're right. And it probably won't be a Nyx out. Wouldn't really expect to see Nyx against Brood.
Yeah.
Possible, because it is kind of good with the Storm, like scouting out kills, things like that, but I think a different offlaner is more likely here. Smart to ban the Sand King. They could have done an aggro try and then Sand King versus Brood 1v1. That would have been dangerous.
Yeah, that's another hero that doesn't come to mind right away for me, but probably should. We've seen the power of Sand King in other melee matchups, and Brood is definitely a good one with the Caustic Finale, but they take a Darkseer, so a more classic offlaner here for Team Empire. Somebody that can put a lot of pressure on the safe lane, get some farm, work the jungle, and contribute to the team fight. Of course, Vacuum Wall can synergize very nicely with all that AoE damage the Kunkka does.
So Alliance has a couple options here. I don't know if they're anticipating Broodmother Darkseer 1v1. They could grab something like Juggernaut and go for a aggressive tri-lane with Dazzle, Jug, and Ogre. As long as they land a disable, somebody on Empire should die to that. Although I guess they can disrupt for half of that spin damage, but I feel like it's a pretty strong tri-lane. Like Kunkka's Shadow Demon is actually fairly weak in the early game, considering all you have is Disruption and Torrent. And if you go on your opponents, your Torrent isn't even guaranteed, so they could do something like that. They could play more safe, pick a safe lane that ideally has a stun or a gap closer against Drow Ranger or Storm Spirit. They definitely could use more disables though. They're all right now. Having Dragon Knight Ogre is a big game, but something that would be good early pushing too would be really solid. Even like a mech hero might be a good idea, just so that they can take early advantages or take early team fights and offset the Drow aura a bit.
Maybe they take Sven. I think they might want a ranged hero though. No, it's the Sven. Okay, I should have trusted in myself.
That's a good pick. I'm cool with that. First of all, you can cleave illusions really easily, so they can deal with SD illusions easier. He's got another stun, so that's another lockdown against Storm Spirit. If they can initiate, he will get Blink Dagger, so Storm actually does have to be careful this game. Then they've also got Warcry, which is really going to increase their armor and offset what Drow does.
Yeah,
I think Sven picks pretty okay here. It's not very good against Darkseer, but I don't think they're too concerned about that with the Dazzle.
Okay. Well, we're going to have a very quick break here, folks. Then game number 2 of Alliance versus Empire will get started. All right, welcome back, folks. You didn't miss much. We've been stuck in a pause since we loaded in. So, Purge, what are you thinking here? It's a very comparable draft for Empire, just a different off-laner, everything else the same. Alliance with a considerably different draft. Do you think they're better equipped to deal with these heroes this go-around?
Yeah, that's absolutely clear. So many more stuns on low cooldowns as well. They can do Fire Blast, they can do Spell Stun, they can do Dragonite Stun. But the hard part is going to be giving Dragonite a good lane mid, I think. You know, he's got a lane against a Storm Spirit. It's basically like what Timber did, except less effective, because Dragonite doesn't have the same spam ability of spells. He also doesn't have... He's got good armor and good regen, but he's also a lot less mobile as well. So if Empire decide to start ganking him heavily in the mid game, he's going to have a lot of trouble with that. Even a simple SD and Conquer gank could easily kill him. So they have to be very careful of where the supports are, and possibly Brood will have to give a lot of vision of the supports at all times so that S4 doesn't die too much.
Yeah, absolutely. See some wards come down early. Bulldog actually breaks the smoke from Kunkka. They'll drop the sentry, and they just barely find it. Very nicely done. That'll be a good victory for Alliance out of the gate. Get some ward advantage down in the bottom lane.
That's so big too, because now they will always know where Brood, or they won't always know where Brood is, that is.
Yeah.
Lots of places he can hide his webs. It's going to be harder for them to set up ganks on him. They just kind of have to guess now. There's a deep observer ward placed by Brood as well, in a less common place. So, should the support rotations better. I'm guessing this ward is placed slightly to help Dragonite.
Yeah, it looks like it. This is a harder place to de-ward.
Oh no, he just does Windlace. Okay, I was like 315 base. What the hell?
Yeah, Ogre definitely one of the supports that benefits from all of these new items that have been added in that have just helped supports in general. You're talking about raindrops. The mana regen, of course, is great on him, but getting that extra movement speed at early levels, it gives you kind of a break point where you're faster than most other heroes, unless they've gone to Windlace as well, which actually King R did on the Shadow Demon, so he'll be even with the Ogre, but...
Did find the Observer Ward.
Oh,
he knows about where the sentry got placed, so at least Bulldog can play around that area, at least avoid the pull area, but... At least it went 1-for-1 for them. It's not terrible. And that also cost them a sentry ward too.
Yeah. Bulldog will be happy with that. Oh, they'll get another one down. Can Bulldog get it off in time? No, the disruption comes out, but EGM is there, and he will tango it down. Now Bulldog taking huge damage. They won't be able to finish him off. They'll turn on the EGM instead. Ogre is pretty beefy, and it looks like they won't have the damage to get the kill. Very nice reaction there from EGM to get that ward down and maintain some vision control for the Brood. That's huge.
Bulldog was a little bit late there just to sentry, or to de-ward it. With EGM in the area that wastes our last sentry, now Bulldog has a guaranteed experience lane, so he's just going to be able to get whatever he wants now. Until they fly out more sentries or something, but that's going to be a long time. That'll take Courier. EGM doesn't need to be an offlane anymore. He can rotate mid and start zoning the Drow Ranger mid. So this is basically completely different. So they ended up putting the Storm safe lane just to deal with the Brood Spiders, and it's definitely a better matchup. It's a little scary, but you can do it.
And now Undershock gonna feel the hurt of the roaming Ogre. Ignite comes out, and this Drow Ranger mid lane is gonna be a little bit tough. S4 having a considerably better time, 7-2 compared to the 3-2 Drow, and now she has to deal with this Ogre and not really winning the harassment battle. This Ogre is just so beefy. EGM happy to distract her and keep her off the creep wave.
It's so easy for him to lane against this.
Yeah.
Every time he throws Ignite, he does like 126 magic damage or something. It's like 130 magic damage for 90 mana. And the Drow has 2 armor versus Ogre's 8, so it's the easiest trade ever.
Yeah. And the Ogre has better base regen also, so he's happy to just roam around, pick up runes. He'll get a bounty now as he heads top. EGM's feeling pretty darn good right now. Afterlife, a little bit of a precarious situation, but just doing standard Darkseer things, pushing the lane out, putting pressure on Loda, Ion Shells. Always a nuisance to deal with.
So basically S4 is going to be really happy with all this. It's got his bottle coming out. It's such a fast bottle too. 225 when he bought Stout Shield and Calling Blade is great. He could die here though.
He's #1 on CS. Undershock starting to harass a lot. Now Maposhka will rotate over. Again, we talked about the Kunkka Shadow Demon support duo. And a set that has a lot of kill power, but if they don't get the kills with those rotations, it is a set that can very easily become under-leveled and sort of bottleneck your strategy a little bit. So we'll see what they're going to be able to get done.
It wasn't a problem last game, at least. They just kind of owned, and then it was no big deal. Soul Ring's up now for Broodmother, so the spam can happen.
And Undershock's doing a lot of damage to S4, but it just doesn't seem worth it. He's got 2 points in Dragon's Blood, a lot of health regen, and now that the bottle's out, his Stratus needs to focus on last hits. 6-19 in 3 minutes.
What Ogre did. That's not a typical mid hero. You can't trade super well with that hero. He just sits there and slaps him and throws ignites, and then Drow gets no experience for a period of time. I'm sure even the levels are really messed up here.
Yeah, let's take a look.
They're about the same. Alright, I'm wrong. But
Punk is still 1, but...
Ogre did sap like a half level there, so it would have been a huge advantage for the Drow, or for the DK otherwise.
Yeah. DS just suiciding into the neutrals there, taking that free trip back to the well. Crazy. How's Bulldog faring? 5 last hits, almost level 4 on the Broodmother. Well, they haven't killed him, so it could always be going worse for the Brood, but he's getting some decent experience, finding some last hits here and there. Not really slowing down the farm on this Storm, so I think overall Empire definitely happy with this rotation. Even though it is coming at the cost of the Drow Ranger, they can always rotate her into the safe lane later. As long as she's not feeding in the mid lane, they're kind of okay, as long as Storm is getting this kind of progression.
Yeah, I think Brood's doing more than fine here. 4 minutes at 4, or level 4 at 4 minutes is amazing. EGM picks up Bloodlust level 2 here. Choice, I think. Oh,
interesting.
They do trade at the same time.
Yep.
New sentry place now.
Alright, Brood. He's got 1 sentry left. Could get the value sentry down here and kill the Observer. We'll save it for now, and while I'm looking at wards, Miss Darkseer getting killed up top, Sven getting credit for the kill. It's like a nice rotation here from the hasted S4 to set it up.
Almost killed Shadow Demon with his spiders, but dust spreads them apart.
Undershock now mid. This could actually be rough. S4 doesn't have the haste turn anymore, but he does have Bloodlust. Nice gust on 2. Keep Undershock alive.
Just such a big threat to have Bloodlust on these enemy heroes. Like having a Yasha at the start of the game.
Yep. That's a really lucky rune for S4 to get, though, at the 4-minute mark. Memes aside, it just makes it a much less risky rotation to rotate off like that. They're going to go in onto Undershock. It would have been a guaranteed kill if it connected. Fairy Fire keeps him up. Oh, boy.
He wanted to last hit and harass with it or something. Oh, man, that's got to feel bad. They're still winning the mid lane, but considering that they're down 1-1 or 1 game,
yeah,
that's still good.
I mean, Undershock still has to walk back, and will have to be able to TP home. It's still free farm for S4. Not all bad, but yeah, missed opportunity for sure.
So Ogre now grabbing 2 points of Ignite just to max out the damage. It's good. It does closer to 200 magic damage now. Bulldog is getting level 5 from the neutrals, so relatively okay. Just that 1 death on him so far. They spent so many sentries to deward him too. I guess technically Alliance has as well, but...
Yep. Alright. Very quiet early game here, though. Only 2 kills in 6 minutes. Both teams pretty happy just getting their farm going on here. Haven't really talked about Loda too much, but he is neck and neck with the Storm Spirit in terms of farming the safe lane. Looks like either Armlet or HOD will be coming out first for him. Given how slow this game is, wouldn't be surprised if it's the HOD and he just starts stacking up the Ancients, but they could also look to hit a timing push with this DK now that he's level 6 and utilize an Armlet in that fashion. A lot of options for Alliance when they want to try to make fights happen.
Yeah, there are, but there's almost no way that he doesn't go Helm of the Dominator. It's very standard that Sven needs to accelerate to be strong, and Helm of the Dominator is the best way to get. They might go for the Drow here.
Oh yeah, wrap around 3-on-1. Does land a stun onto the DK, but it doesn't look like it'll be enough to keep him alive. Defensive disruption. Now, aggressive disruption comes out. Maposhka on his way. I don't know if they can actually kill S4 here, though. Shadow Poison starting to stack up on the other side of it. Ake and EGM taking a lot of damage. It's a big rotation from Empire.
Nice.
Ake does get off the grave. He's going to try to TP out. He will make it. EGM still on the run. S4 does get pulled back. He's going to go blow for blow with Maposhka. Actually gets the solo kill as King R chases him down. Now on the other side of the fight, EGM will be killed off. S4 just barely finished off by King R. It is a 2-for-2 when it's all said and done. Drow and Kunkka in exchange for the Dragon Knight Ogre. So a fairly even exchange. Both teams losing their mid and a support.
Dragon Knight almost got out with that too. If he, I don't know, who knows, 10 more HP and some tread switching before, he could have survived here. 1 creep right click in the laning stage, would have made the difference. But they did get a lot of kills out of that, and nice by Ake to also escape. So it was pretty good for Alliance, I think. I feel like because they were the aggressors, that ended up better for them.
Empire did rotate a little bit more. Bulldog had some space in the lane to farm, so he's moved up a little bit in the ranks. But so did the Darkseer. Him and Brood are about neck and neck, actually.
Wow, you're right. Nice.
Hey, man. Really channeling low to this game. Called the
Yeah,
Sven
no kidding.
into the armlet.
I'm just gonna take all of your advice now for any Sven discussion.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you're definitely right that the HOD is probably the highest expected value way to accelerate your farm, guarantees the stacks, and it's pretty easy for Sven to kill him in that early window. But the armlet is great if you want to fight. If they see themselves 5-manning or 4+1ing down towers and making space for Bulldog, I think armlet is still a great choice in that setup.
Yeah, it definitely increases their damage by a lot. I'm just a little unsure about the survivability problems that come with it, because his HP is never really going to be full until he gets Helm of the Dominator with it. And I guess in the laning stage, he's much stronger too. Darkseer has a very low chance to kill him now, but we'll see how it works out. I'm not sold on it yet, but I'd love to be proved wrong.
They'll use the Elder Dragon form mid. He had an Arcane Rune as well. This is great stuff for S4. Only an 80-second cooldown now on that big bad ultimate. 20 seconds worth of downtime, so they'll just slow siege this tier 1 tower mid. Then I imagine Alliance might want to look for a rotation to use that cooldown again and try and open up the map a little bit more. We'll even see a rotation from the Brood now as Bulldog moves into the enemy jungle, starting to steal some of this Empire farm.
I love net setups like this where it goes all the way to mid. That way you never really know if he's going to show up and gank mid or if he's going to be in safe lane. Because now Empire all has to back off. They know Brood might be in the area. They know that he's not in his lane, so...
Ramsey's down bottom. Stunned up as S4 actually rotates in. Kunkka will be nearby. X-Torrent slows things down and Storm will be able to make it out. So they just knocked down the tier 1 mid. They defend down bottom and now they might rotate into a tower push down here. Kunkka could still be in some trouble. Bulldog with a lot of spider babies. The home, are they going to be able to interrupt it in time? EGM just a little far away. Heal bomb almost enough from Ake, but not quite. And Kunkka will survive. Close call.
Either way, that should allow them to take the tower, although they don't want to lose mid and ons. Goes back for that experience, and long until Dragon Knight has ult again. It's already ready, actually.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Wow. The
These
last were
runes have been
60,
so lucky.
and it was on an 80-second cooldown, so 20-second downtime. That's pretty amazing, actually.
Wow.
Get a stun mid, too.
First 10 minutes, a haste rune into an arcane rune, and now an invisibility. S4 is getting some serious value out of this rune control. Wow. And down bottom, they will finish off the tower. Brood. Is he just looking for the Echo Saber or an Orchid? Yeah, Echo. Okay.
Probably Echo. Well, I mean, it could be both, really.
King R gonna get caught in the mid. Should be a pretty easy kill here. There's some rotation. Looks like Kunkka's on his way over. He will make it to the high ground, but S4 and Elder Dragon form going to flap those wings, chase him down, and that'll get him. Breathe fire for the win.
He may also be picking up an armlet on Dragon Knight. Like teams are going back to what was OP at the start of the patch. Just armlets giving 10 armor. Now it only gives you 7, I believe, but yeah, playing to farm. I mean, Dragon Knight's kind of a good solution against Storm. Obviously, Storm does mostly magic, so in some ways, Storm is the ideal hero for the situation. But that armor makes a difference. Storm does right-click for a lot of his damage as well. So early game minimum, the armor will help.
Basically done by the Drow Ranger down bottom. Almost gets caught by the Brood, but just casual Gus, TP home. Of course, one of the weaknesses there.
The reason this game's so significant is that normally Drow Ranger is just able to push towers before their opponents do, and therefore she has the upper hand in terms of towers and in terms of getting advantage. But because she lost her safe lane tower, she doesn't really have a safe place to farm anymore. Look at her CS. It's 56 at 11 and almost 12 minutes here. And there's 2 towers actually dead for Alliance. Like, Alliance is in an amazing position here. And they're going to scale very well. They've got a Sven going late game. They'll have a Brood carry going late game, basically. And they're going to have Dragon Knight. And to make things worse, there's also Bloodlust. And Sven Aura is going to counteract a lot of the physical damage coming from Empire. It's like they need to start transitioning into ganks really soon and make them effective. Or they're going to get really behind.
Yeah, and Storm might be their saving grace on that front, though he has gone for the Bloodstone again, it looks like, with the point booster. Not going to be an Orchid Rush. Bulldog, on the other hand, almost finds a kill here onto the Shadow Demon. He will get off the disruption. Ake on his way in with a heal bomb. King R is just dead. There are too many spiders. Ake now taking a lot of damage, does get off the grave. Makes some time for S4 to come in. Ramses could get turned on here. He really wants this kill on Ake, and he will find it. Still trying to zip away. S4 on the chase, and might still be able to bring him down. They kill the Drow Ranger on the backside. Storm, juking and jiving, actually dies of the damage over time. The corrosive breath. 1 for 3.
S4, he almost got away, so he's like, I'll just ulti. And he attacked him once and just walked. He was like, I'll get him. He'll die. He ran out of regen and went down.
Yeah, and I actually didn't think it was going to be enough. I thought he would survive that little bit of tick damage.
Yeah, it was close, but it does like 20 damage a second for 5 seconds. It's quite a bit, actually.
Significant. And that didn't always used to be lethal. Isn't that a relatively new change? Like maybe 3 or 4 patches ago? It's, I know it's lethal now, but there was a long period where that would not have been a kill. It was small buffs making a difference here. But it is an Orchid, it looks like, coming out on Broodmother, and there, an Orchid rush, in fact. No boots, just straight Soul Ring Orchid for Admiral Bulldog.
You can get away with that easily, actually, because once you're in Dism, though, net webs, you're running at 501. Huge movement speed. And I like that they also gave him the Aegis, just because he's the most likely hero to get ganked, so now he can play aggressive and pressure. I think if there wasn't a Storm, he wouldn't get Orchid, but it's just so justified this game because of Storm Spirit existing. They had tons of trouble with the last game, but he doesn't even have Bloodstone finished yet. And if they already have Orchid, that means he can't suicide. It means that there's many opportunities for you to kill him. Although he is going to farm spiders. That's pretty dangerous.
Yeah, the Bloodstone is on the way. You look at that net worth drop-down chart here, and all 3 of the Alliance cores are about farming on par with each other, getting just a lot out of their lanes, the 2 towers that they've knocked down. HOD is now up on Loda, so he's stacking up Ancients. They're going to be looking to kill this big fatty stack pretty soon here. It's up to a 4 stack, I think, double Golem, and a set of Drakes as well as Lizards, and it's just so easy for the Sven to do this reliably. Pops his ult, now he has 1100 gold, probably Blink Dagger next on him, just get a little bit of initiation power so they can push even easier. Alliance going for a lot of early value items that let them come online. The double armlet does make their 2 strength cores very powerful.
It really does. Like, Loda hits way harder than your average Sven here. And it's going to do more than Echo Saber in some ways. And maybe that's why he's going this build, actually, is because they've got Bloodlust. So he doesn't need the attack speed as bad as you normally would, due to having a Bloodlust attack speed. And comboing that with the Armlet, you've got 55 attack speed here. Easily going to be more overall DPS than what an Echo Saber provides.
Yep, Smoke now going to catch Undershock, a multicast, the double dings to make it hurt even more. Ake on his way in, looking for the heal bomb is still the kill, but EGM not going to make it easy for him as he moves up to the high ground. They will hand it over to S4. Loda gets the deny on the tier 1 up top, but it's a 3-on-1. He does have some teammates inbound, but still pretty far away. Disruption set up into Torrent. No follow-up. Kunkka just got his boat available now, and they will start to disengage. Alliance with a lot of reinforcements coming. Now Afterlife with a vacuum back, pulls S4 away, but EGM trying to use that big body to box him out. They will have the damage. Ake finally gets the kill steal he was hoping for with another heal bomb. Nicely done. They keep their Sven alive. They deny the tower. Alliance getting pretty much everything they want, it feels like here. Purge. Tower kills, tower denies, and a couple of cleanup kills to boot.
They might be able to set him in if they get the stun from S4. There's the Orchid divide time. Just needs vision.
Gets it. This is a lot of trouble for the Storm. They don't have the damage, though. He zips to the high ground. Yeah,
they could have delayed the Orchid usage by a bit. It would have been a kill, but they had to use it then. Otherwise, Storm would have gotten out. Could escape by him, but that pressure is still so scary. That low on HP. Yeah.
There's the Bloodstone, so 12 charges up on Storm. I feel like this is a potential make it or break it for Empire. Ramsey's on the cusp of potentially snowballing. If they could take a team fight here, get those Bloodstone charges up, Storm could really pull ahead in this game. But if they falter here and this Storm dies immediately after the Bloodstone, it could be bad. He's got a haste and invisibility. Gets very low, able to make it out. Haste Rune going to make his life a lot easier. Oh, Ramsey's living life on the edge.
Really is, no kidding. That heal bomb is so big. Like, the Dazzle pick this game was so good. When you already have a Broodmother, even if it's not in the same lane, just the ability to rotate to the lane and provide, like, 600 physical bursts is amazing.
Yeah. I wish I could see the hero damage breakdown right now, just see how much Dazzle's done relative to the other supports. It has to be significantly more than, like, the Shadow Demon or the Kunkka at this stage.
Oh, yeah, easily. Kunkka has felt very useless this game. Even like Ogre has done great things. EGM, both games actually so far today, has been doing an amazing job zoning and roaming early game.
Yep.
The big difference between last game and this game is just that Alliance has the right heroes to deal with the Empire cores in last game.
See what S4 wants to grab next. 2,500 gold. Could be thinking about a Blink Dagger, though I don't know if they'll go double Blink Dagger. Ramsey's TP's back down bottom. No way to interrupt that quite yet.
Well, he can go Blink. It's that or Drum or Shadow Blade. And I think SB is the better option against a Storm because, yes, Blink lets you grab him, but you have to also find where he's farming until that ends up being useful. So I think SB is pretty likely this game.
Okay. Lothars. I was thinking that he might just go BKB so that they can siege and put him in the front line, and he doesn't have to worry about getting caught. But I could also see your suggestion working out.
It could also solve that problem with the Glimmer Cape on a support. So we'll see which way they do it. I would say if any hero's going to buy it, it's likely to be Ogre Magi or the Glimmer. They're smoking here. They're going to go up and cover S4, I think. Yeah, I don't know if they know there's 3 heroes up here, though. Maybe they're going to go somewhere else. They might be late.
Looks like they're going to rotate up here. Radiant already backing out. There's a lot of heroes off the map, so they might be a little bit nervous to engage, thinking it could be bait, some sort of a trap. The smoke is going to go the other way. They're actually going to catch the Drow. Loda using that Blink Dagger to start things off. Plenty of follow-up stuns. Another multicast from EGM. Feeling pretty lucky today as they'll get a freebie there and move into a very small Ancient stack, but easy enough for Loda to take down with his Armlet HOD.
That's so fast. It's actually incredible with Bloodlust.
Yeah, level 3 Bloodlust at that. I like the way they did this. Fire Blast is literally just picked up for the stun duration.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looked like when I first saw the scaling on the skill change. Sometimes you have to max his skill out, but Ignite's just so valued now. 90 mana for 400 magic damage. Good.
Yeah. Here we go, zip in. Ramsey's trying to start this one off. They'll pull Loda back. Aegis of the Immortal has expired. Huge boat onto 3. Great setup from the Darkseer. They get the kill on Sven first. Now Ake getting low, does manage Brave. Not going to be able to TP, however. Bulldog walks by a Sentry Ward. He'll get brought down, and now Ake will be killed to boot. It's a 3-0, and now we see some of that combo come to light. Afterlife and Miposhka making the whole thing happen.
Yeah, and it all happened with Ramsey's baiting, basically. Jumps in with Storm, forces his opponents to go on him, and then they disrupt him and lead into a great vacuum boat. That was amazing damage. And once Sven gets that low, and that's part of the Armlet problem, then you have to worry about that kind of thing. Now, if Sven gets BKB, that doesn't happen anymore, because he's going to be able to anticipate that coming, pop BKB and not die, but he'll work on that. He's just not there yet.
All right, so let's take a look here. Bulldog in the front lines. He was feeling very confident. They are pretty grouped up, but I want to see this storm bait that you were talking about. It did seem like a very bold initiation. They also X'd back Loda to get it started, so that kind of forced them to converge. The disruption actually comes out onto the storm, so it helps them out, resets the fight, and there's just that one moment of weakness where you could see Alliance are kind of like, oh crap, the target we wanted to kill is disrupted. What do we do? And then that's the moment the vac came out, the wall, the boat, the follow-up, and of course we saw the aftermath. 3-0. And looks like Empire back in this game. Look at that gold graph, and it's within a very attainable reach. About a 3K net worth lead, 2,500 experience for Alliance. Empire right back in it as Storm becomes #1 on net worth, and hey, he's up to 15 Bloodstone charges there, buddy. He's actually doing it.
And he's pretty close to Orchid as well, not too far away. Whether or not he goes Orchid or something else, who knows, it could change. But and again, you're right, Dragonite BKB. Just the safer play here. They're all getting BKBs actually. Dragonite picking up BKB. Same with Loda and Brood as well. Once they get those, it basically means that Kunkka's worthless damage-wise. Yeah. Darkseer is worthless damage-wise, and even Storm's kind of worthless for 10 seconds. So the next problem that they have is now they're going to have trouble initiating on the backline, because keep in mind the last fight went good for them, for Alliance that is, because they were able to stun Storm, but he did that on purpose, got disrupted, and then it's over. So they're not going to fall for that again likely. They'll have to aim for the back. So it's going to come down to Loda probably, jumping into the backline and picking off the support. Ideally Shadow Demon, that's the most important hero to kill, but we'll see if he gets that kill.
Do you think Storm might be considering a Hex instead of an Orchid this game? Because that is a good tool against BKB carriers if you can catch them. You know, he prevents the BKB from coming out, opens you up for some stuns.
You're definitely right about that. It's kind of an iffy Orchid game due to the BKBs. It might also just be go for a instead, since there are a couple lockdowns that counter him. But we'll see what he goes for. It could be different things. Usually Hex is very rarely grabbed as a second pick. It's a lot more expensive than Orchid, so.
Yeah, that's true. Not a completely fair comparison. That is a good point. See a smoke though from Empire, and it is an invisibility rune on Storm to lead the charge. So they're not actually going to get the smoke broken by Bulldog. He was nearby, but does back out just in time. They're going to block up the Ancients here. Not a bad idea. They will kill that Sentry Ward also, but trying to limit where Loda can farm so he doesn't take over. Loda's farm is good, but not insane right now. This is one of these games where Sven has just been eating stack after stack and power farming. He did go for a little bit more of a combative build with the Armlet like we talked about. Looks like he wants BKB next, so it is smart of Empire to try and keep that farm down, limit how much they can utilize these Ancients.
It is really important, and his delayed Helm of the Dominator definitely hurt his build a little bit, hurt his farm levels, but as long as they start winning some team fights, it should be fine for Alliance. And if they go ultra late game, they're gonna have a farm Dragonite, a farm Sven, and a farm Brood. On the other side, it's just gonna be Storm, Drow, basically. Like even if Darkseer is fairly farmed, at max he just has more utility things like Shiva's, Hex, maybe a pipe, stuff like that. It can help, but considering it's a Drow Ranger, this is like one of those situations where you really don't want to play Drow. You're underfarmed, you're dying more times, you're getting kills or assists, and they have gap closers. So Drow outperforming this game or providing good DPS is unlikely. It's kind of all in the back of Storm in some ways.
Yeah, he's even switched up his build a fair bit. I mean, had to go for the Dragonlance, but now straight into a Maelstrom. Very good farming tool. That'll allow him just to clear out the jungle very quickly, push out lanes. It is a great item to give you additional damage, but it's going to be tough in these team fights. If he gets jumped on, Dragonlance Maelstrom not going to do much to keep you alive.
Yeah, he needs it against spiders, basically, because he can't go into any lane that he thinks Brood might be in, because Brood would just kill him. At least if he gets Maelstrom, he can farm the spiders or fight against them a bit. Yep. So triple BKB, actually there's so many BKBs in this game. Storm Spirit actually built a BKB, surprisingly.
Interesting.
It's a safe play. If he goes Lincolns and something else breaks his Lincolns and then he gets Orchided, he dies. Or Rest to Bloodstone.
Yeah.
Suicide, that is.
There is a lot to break the Lincolns that isn't a stun. You know, Dazzle, Poison, Ogre, Ignite, even just the little Brood spawn Spiderlings, little babies. All right, this is a time for Alliance to strike. They might be waiting out Roche. There is a creep in the pit. It's a very long Roche respawn, close to the max timer. He's going to be coming up soon. I imagine with Aegis plus 3 10-second BKBs, Alliance could take one hell of a team fight, and that'll be their third BKB completed now on Sven. Also a Blink Dagger on Dragonite. Everything falling into line for this Dire team.
I guess it looks like the farm levels are being pretty static, but I kind of felt like Alliance was getting ahead, but maybe that's not necessarily true.
Fairly even the last couple minutes.
Farming rapidly, but it's the big one is that Darkseer and Darkseer and Drow Ranger are still able to get a lot of farm.
Yeah, it's not all bad for the Drow, but it still isn't really great. I mean, maybe you can upgrade this Dragonlance into a Hurricane Pike.
I don't even know if that's the solution. If you get stunned, that's where you useless. If they have BKBs, then.
Speaking of stuns, Afterlife caught here. Darkseer just gets dropped very quickly in the mid lane. Was a smoke rotation from Alliance, simply hoping for more than just a quick pick, but didn't really cost them anything. Sven did use his ultimate, so I guess that's kind of unfortunate, but killing the Darkseer, definitely not too shabby.
So even though they got BKBs, though, Dragonite does have Blink now.
Yep.
Which is now amazing. It's so scary for Storm Spirit. They could easily do chain stuns. They've almost got a Force Staff on Ogre as well, so if they can Blink, do Dragonite stun. If Sven's on the area, Ogre might be able to catch up as well now.
Kunkka is very close to his Aether Lens, though. Should be able to pick it up here momentarily.
I honestly don't know if that matters.
Yeah. Doesn't feel like it. I mean, Roche is going to fall super fast here. They've got a Medallion on the Dazzle, so plenty of minus armor, and they'll click him down. Empire, none the wiser. They might know they're starting to ping it out, but they're not going to rotate that way. No real way they can take a fight in the Roche pit unless Alliance does something real goofy. So they'll play it safe. They just back out, and they hand it over. Aegis in the hands of the Sven.
I mean, if they just have so many BKBs, it's so hard to fight against that. Like, Aether Lens on Kunkka, what is he gonna do? Maybe Boat initiates before they see it coming or something? Like, they have no setups either. It's basically like Stormful. That's their only stun. The game is, like, completely flopped, actually. Alliance has heroes that Empire can't deal with, and Storm is just less useful here.
I'm a little surprised that Alliance aren't being a bit more aggressive here. I mean, I understand
not actually.
Really? Okay.
Just because the fact that, I mean, if you look at how the game is going to change, yeah, they know that in the late game their heroes are always going to be better. Empire has a Drow Ranger that's ultra underfarmed, can't participate in team fights well. They've got a Storm that they have counters to. They've got multiple stuns, multiple catch. They just have to keep playing. They've got BKBs for God's sake.
Uh-oh, here we go mid. They're going to find a setup on the Loda. They will force out a BKB. It does keep the Aegis alive, but now he goes in. He actually wants to find a kill here. Drops the stun on Maposhka. Starting to armlet toggle a little bit. Guardian Greaves used by the Darkseer. And Loda will be just fine. As we're watching that, Bulldog will get soloed by the Storm Spirit. It is a 5v4 on the field, but now the real initiation on the Undershock. Drow Ranger taking a lot of damage. Nice disruption from King R. Does buy him a little bit of time, though. Undershock still in some trouble. Surge, is it going to be able to keep him alive? Gonna move around through the trees, but Dazzle's poison will be enough to bring him down. Storm not able to get in the fight in time. It will be a 1-for-1 exchange. A couple of BKBs used, though. That was the 10-second on the Dragon Knight, as well as the Sven. Still holding on to the Aegis. Alliance will get a tier 2 tower as well. Ramsey still fighting down to the bottom lane against EGM. He actually has Orchid money now after picking up that solo kill.
I really don't know how he killed Bulldog as well. Bulldog could have BKB'd, but...
Yeah, I thought for sure he would just BKB TP. Let's focus on the fight in the mid. And that's where they found the kill. That was...
Probably tried to get out without dying and using BKB, and he ended up just getting killed. They maybe got a really long range ball. Like, did a bunch of damage, did the pull, dusted. At that point, Bulldog didn't want to BKB. I'm not sure.
Hey, Hurricane Pike's on the way for the Drow, though. Force Staff is coming.
I don't think that's going to matter, really. Like, he's so far behind. 0-5-2. This is like the Drow of old days.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, now S4. He's actually going to be caught here. A lot of damage. Man, they bring him down fast. That was only a level 1 Soul Catcher as well.
Yeah, I checked the same thing. I was like, wow, surely Soul Catcher is high level, but just Ball Lightning do a ton.
So that's also an Orchid up on Storm. 17 Bloodstone charges. Ramses has not died since he picked up the Bloodstone, so this is going very well for him. Empire really regaining some decent momentum here. Alliance not finding that golden team fight once they got their BKBs, and now their tier 2 tower mid will fall. Initiation from Ramses, jumps in, takes a stun from Loda. This could be a mistake. Defensive disruption. It'll break up the fight now. Afterlife comes in, forces the BKB from Loda. Ramses, he'll use his BKB as well. Now the disengage out. More spider babies coming from Bulldog. And Empire will be happy to disengage. Just one tower richer after ending that spree on the Dragon Knight. Very nice.
So while Alliance is looking good late game, if they just don't take team fights, then Storm is going to do Storm things and take solo kills. Probably didn't expect those things to happen. They probably said, oh, there shouldn't be any way that Storm kills any of our cores now. But if it keeps happening, then they're going to eventually lose the game.
Ooh, Glimmer Cape on the Shadow Demon. Put on Ramses to try and initiate here. He jumps onto Loda. He does have the Aegis, but no BKB. This is a big kill here. I think they just back out, but the Aegis out of play. Empire doing a great job with these scrappy little engagements, finding advantages left and right. Now some TPs home. Loda trying to catch one. King R will make it out just in time. Now on the other side, EGM still trying to chase him down, but Afterlife will be able to blink over the tree line, and Empire will make it out with all 5 still alive.
Alliance is getting ran around here. I was catching up on farm as well. She's only like 1,000 behind the main cores of Alliance now. Her items still look pretty weak to me, but the net worth will eventually accelerate past that even, possibly.
These odds starting to level out quite a bit here, and actually shifting in favor of Empire. Remember, folks, those live odds are for the whole series. Empire did take game number 1. If they win this, they will be moving on to the grand finals of Global Grandmasters Season 1 with a 1-game advantage in that best of 5. And Alliance wins here. We're moving on to an ace match, Game 3 decider. Keep it in mind as you get those bets out.
So they did buy a Gem of True Sight. At least it's still in the base, but Roche isn't even up for like 4 minutes, so maybe it's just an unpredictable smoke here for Alliance. If they can get a kill, it'd be huge.
Oh, they might find King R. They certainly will. Can't get off the disruption. He gets Orchided. Force Staff trying to buy him some time. BKB used by Loda. Oh, but Undershock almost makes it out. Compliments of that Hurricane Pike. Ends up getting locked in the trees, and he will die. Just 1-0 so far. King R trying to TP out, and he'll make it. Drow ends up playing Sacrificial Lamb to keep the Shadow Demon alive. Usually it's the other way around. Ramses, wrong place at the wrong time. Might still be able to live here. Stun after stun. Now the silence. He will go down. Wow.
That was a 1,000 damage crit just now. Wow.
Yep.
That's basically Solar Crest minus armor. That's what they have in. That's actually so dangerous for Storm. And like I said, super mobile. So as soon as all 3 heroes are within like mobility range of Storm Spirit, he will get chain stun if there's no backup.
Yep. Showing some mortality on the Storm Spirit. Now down to 12 Bloodstone charges. They are going to try to mount the defense here. Big back wall from Afterlife. BKB used by Ramses. Doing some decent damage in the back line, but Kunkka nowhere to be found. Going on to EGM. Grave comes out. Now the disruption buys some more time. BKB used by Bulldog. Ramses could be the one that's in trouble. He's taking a lot of damage. Back-to-back deaths on the Storm Spirit. King R in very deep. The Orchid gets used again. Follow-up stun. This should be a dead Shadow Demon. Empire do manage to hold their tier 2 tower, but it is costly. 2-0. Kunkka still just farming in the top lane. Where was Miposhka?
That's actually a really good question. I don't know, man. He was there, didn't matter though.
I mean, if he could have hit a
Maybe.
boat on that back wall setup, there was an opportunity for them to take that fight. 4v5,
Yeah,
that's like
true.
guaranteed something they don't want to engage in outside of the tower, you know?
Yeah, especially because after that vac wall, the storm died like 10 seconds later. So if he hypothetically landed torrent boat on that and hit 3 heroes that didn't have BKB up, Storm could have gone on top of that most likely and finished them off. So yeah, I definitely agree. Maybe TP to top lane, didn't anticipate a team fight. Like that's what was really cool about what Alliance did there, is that they did a smoke like 3 minutes before Roche even had the possibility of being up. So there's a low chance that Empire would anticipate it because they would probably think, oh, Alliance is going to save their smokes until time for Roche area. Like they took that fight, they get gold advantage now and it's worth it for them. But it's a little bit more unpredictable based on the timing. And they just bought a gem. So it should be huge map control going to Alliance from this. And a higher chance of getting Roche when it does come up now.
And there is a gem on the Radiant side as well. Let's see, was it stolen? Nope, just bought by Maposhka and in the hands of the Storm Spirit right now. Also great for Alliance that they killed the Storm in back-to-back scenarios there. I mean, killing any of the cores on Empire is good, but Ramses was the one that was top of the net worth chart. Everyone else kind of controllable. Killing him twice, he's now down to a very humble 8 Bloodstone charges, and if they kill him again, Ramses is definitely going to be feeling the hurt. Down to 7 seconds on the BKB also. Interesting choice from S4 here, though, Purge. He goes back for an S and Y after Armlet BKB Blink. 33 minutes in, not too often you'll see somebody just right-click an S and Y if you weren't building up to it already.
Yeah, it's definitely rare, but I think in this case it's pretty justified. His purpose this game is to chase people and lock them down, and this gives him that. He can, you know, it's one of the best movement speed items in the game. 16%.
Yeah, it's huge.
That movement speed will help him find Storm, find other heroes, chase people down if they're running away with like Boat Bust or Surge or something. And even the stats that it gives are okay. It gives you attack speed increase of like 32%. That's not bad. It's like an extra treads. The damage is good too. Just an all-around pretty good item. It's going to limit his item slots a little because already Dragonite has pretty inexpensive items, Armlet, Blink, top of this, and BKB. But the next item he buys should guarantee him some good follow-up. I kind of wonder if he even does something like Abyssal Blade, even though Dragonite's a ranged. Just having the double stun in a row would be massive.
Yeah, that's true. The way they've been playing it, it's just having that control has been the name of the game for these team fights. So it could be an option. I mean, sounds crazy, but even a Hex could be something that would be all right for S4 as a final slot luxury item.
Yeah, maybe. I'd maybe like Bloodthorn better than that, but an option.
Well, if they were going to get Bloodthorn, wouldn't it be on the Broodmother? She has the Orchid anyhow.
Why not have 2 Bloodthorns, man?
That's actually true. I don't think I've ever seen 2 Bloodthorns in one game, but hey, it could work.
He definitely needs a damage item though. He could also just buy MKB on DK, just for the eventual possible BKB or Butterfly from Drow. You know, Drow having Mjolnir, her farm rate's a lot better. Yeah, she might have to BKB finally though.
I would agree with that. Undershock's been doing okay given the state of this game. 0-6 and 2. He's been on the back foot pretty much since the game started. So I think all that considered, he's done a good job just trying to stay passive, find areas to farm, and he's still at the tail end of the pack, but he hasn't just fallen terribly behind. You know, a couple of good team fights he could recover. Ramses, oh no, stunned up by S4. Loda joins the party, another follow-up stun. They're not going to be able to save him. Storm's dead before he can even BKB. Now Afterlife on his way out, gets slowed by the Dazzle. Another silence. Disruption will buy him a little bit of time, but again, not going to be able to save the Darkseer. King R looking to TP home. He does make it. Again, very elusive Shadow Demon, but a quick 2-for-0, and the Storm just feels so weak now all of a sudden.
Yeah, he does. He just keeps dying. That's the problem. I think they stole a gem just now, too.
Storm was carrying it before, and I don't see it. So yeah, I think EGM's got it now.
I heard it drop.
Nope, that was the one that EGM bought. Is it on a courier, perhaps? Oh, it's still on the ground. There it is. All right, it was still on the ground, just picked up by Dire Courier. There we go.
Okay.
That was oddly confusing. Roche will go down, of course, while that's going on, and S4 gets the Aegis this time.
Looks like they maybe moved it, is what they did. They grabbed it from their side, or their opponent's side, put it on their side to hide it. Which is a smart play, because Radiant would send out their courier, and they did. They checked to see if it was still on the ground.
Yep. And they actually almost got it. It was pretty close. It was a courier battle there. Also, that was Roche 3, so Cheese is now up on the Dazzle. 33 minutes in. Alliance In control. Biggest lead we've seen this game by far, 12k gold, 15k experience. They've got all these core items, now even an AC up on Admiral Bulldog, the full Daedalus on Loda with a recipe for a Satanic to upgrade that Helm of the Dominator, yet another reset for him.
That one's actually going to be really good, considering the downsides of Armlet lowering his HP. If he has Satanic on the other side, he can actually just live for so long.
Yeah.
BKB runs out and he gets kited. That's the only way he dies at this point.
All right, Alliance. What do we have here? Miposhka still dedicated to the split push. KingR will DC, unfortunately. I feel like Miposhka is really wishing he wasn't Kunkka this game. He's playing a much different style where he really it seems like he wants to be split pushing, playing a hero that can be a little more active in a solo role. And really, in this setup, at this point, the Kunkka is all about the team fight, with either catching somebody with X and into Torrent, or having that boat to follow up with a Darkseer setup. But either way, solo split pushing does not quite fit the bill.
I mean, he's good at it with this hero, but I mean, he'd rather just be abusing X, and they did that last game very well. But this game, they can't. There's only like 2 heroes they can use it on, and it's Dazzle and Ogre. Can't use it on anybody that has BKB successfully, so he just has so much less of a role this game.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Alliance deep in enemy territory. Ogre going for mobile options for Staff and Glimmer Cape. They're going to rotate to the bottom lane here. Maybe they can catch Ramses again. Loda jumps in with the stun. You know, I can't help but feel like a Lincoln might have been the better choice, because at least it breaks that first stun and you have a chance to react and zip away. This is 3 times now where Storm gets caught. He's had the BKB available, but he's just killed in full stun duration.
Yeah, what's said though, he did use the BKB a couple times early game. Effectively, he got Brood Kill with it, which otherwise there's no way he would have gone, because Bulldog could have orchided. But it's definitely easy to say it in hindsight. So I'm not sure though. I'm not good enough of Storm player.
Yeah, it's a tough Storm game regardless, as it's proving to be with all of these controls. Now Alliance just go right for the high ground. Remember, they have the Aegis. The glyph has already come out. Here we go. Back wall boat, but BKB is used instantly. Alliance just tank the boat to the face. Huge stun from the Sven. Guardian Greaves will pick them back up. They're happy to just take structures. They've gotten to tier 3. It's objective gaming for Alliance. S4 going to go back to killing heroes now. KingR taking a lot of damage. Will be the first brought down. Drow just hits for nothing right now. She's putting damage into this Dragon Knight, but it's kind of S4 versus the world, it feels like. The rest of his team just focusing on barracks. Undershock laying in some damage. Even the tier 4 tower helping out, but he has so much armor, plus 51. S4 feels a little unkillable right now, and of course he does have the Aegis. Now Ake in the back line, caught by Ramses, eats the cheese, might survive through this, gets off the grave, very nicely done. The Drow Ranger actually dies to the Dragon Knight, who will utilize the Aegis. Now Ramses orchided up, stunned up, they'll bring him down again, it looks like. Not going to be able to zip back to the high ground. 3 dead, no buybacks available, and Empire will call it there. 22-9 in 38 minutes of gameplay. We're going to an ace match, baby. Alliance live to fight another day. 1 game left in our coverage today to see who makes it to the winner bracket best of 5 finals.
And I have no idea how the last match is going to go. It seems very draft specific. Empire completely outplayed Alliance, but it seemed very draft based in the first game. In this game, Alliance had pretty darn firm control from the start to the absolute end of it, especially towards the end. So they just have to have the anti-mobile counters, because it seems very clear that Empire likes Kunkka. The problem though is that because Empire went for almost exactly the same strat 2 games in a row, they